Welcome back to another episode of Watch Party Wednesday, and we have got a fun one for you guys today. It's the Week 14 matchup, Chiefs at Patriots there in Foxborough, and to help us break it down, we welcome on a special guest and second-year player, the Jet, Mecole Hardman, All-Pro, Pro Bowler as a rookie, steps up and makes plays, made some plays in this game. Mitch Holtis, Mecole Hardman, how are we doing tonight, fellas?
I'm doing good, man. Ready to get this film breakdown out the way with some of the best of the game. Mitch, my guy right there, man. Yeah.
Jet fuel, baby. Jet fuel. You're looking good. How's all this virtual workout stuff treating you? Look like it's okay.
Yeah, it's not bad, man. I thought it was gonna be I ain't think it's gonna go this well. It means that we have it, and the time we got with the coaches is kind of like just real life, but it's just more through the phone or through the iPad or whatever you use it. So it's going good though. We still get some good work in.
Mecole, we're going to have fans. They're going to be able to ask you questions in our chat room there on YouTube. But the one thing before we get this game started that I want to know, and we were talking a little bit before this started, is just the season that you had last year as a rookie. You were kind of the unknown, the rookie stepping into this situation, into an offense that, Patrick Mahomes had 5,000 yards and 50 touchdowns. And how can you kind of make your mark? And we saw exactly how you made your mark. How much responsibility and just how much do you accept that role of being a part now of that Legion of Zoom and knowing that you've kind of got that target on your back as being one of those playmakers in a room full of playmakers right now?
Oh man, it's crazy, man. Going into the offense, you just you want to learn it and play your role. And anytime your number is called, you just want to take advantage. And I think it started like in practice training camp, just getting that trust with Pat and the coaches, so that way they can start calling my number more and more in the game. But like you said, so many guys around, man. It's like you just want to do your part, and your part is whenever your number called, just take advantage of it. And that's how that's how my mindset was. Is when my number called, or whenever I get a chance, take advantage. So that way they can trust you to do your part, and everybody else gonna do the same thing.
Well, Cole, you're wired with some toughness, though, buddy, because when we were gasping for air, somebody had to make a play. The Houston game. People forget it's your 58-yard return that gets it rolling, or the Charger game, and you go for 104. I mean, how much are you wired to go? It doesn't matter, hey, how far we're ahead or behind. I'm going to make a play to get it started.
Oh, yeah, that's how I always think. I think anytime it's a play need to be made, or, if it's anywhere in a situation where it's like, we need this and need that. Like, I always think that I can step up and do that, or especially on a special team standpoint where I could change the game or, get a momentum swift, like you were saying, the Texas game, man. And I know we needed to play, and all the thing I was thinking was, like, if I can make a play, man, maybe we can change something. And, the guys we was always, positive on the sideline. But after that play, like you said, in the Texas game, it's just like a whole new energy came. And the Chargers game was, they just scored, I think, and we was down. And doing that sealed the game, or, like, get us energy back. So doing plays like that, you just make you happy because you're doing your part. And everybody else just, gain more momentum off their energy. And then, the rest be history. So.
And Mecole, you took advantage of your opportunities throughout the season, and you did that in this game right here. So let's go to kickoff right now. The Chiefs at the Patriots in Foxborough. Again, the Patriots came into this game with a 21-game home winning streak between the regular season and the postseason. And for a lot of people, this was Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes in Foxborough just kind of made his Hall of Fame career. And this was kind of that cathartic game for Chiefs fans to kind of get past and get over that hump. But Mitch, Mecole, the first thing we got to start with is because the first storyline that came from this game was before the game even started and the equipment fiasco that went down. Mitch, you and I have a really interesting perspective on this because we kind of saw it happening before it hit the media. Just what do you remember about that, and what do you recall most fondly thinking back to that whole situation before the game?
I was thinking, what? I think I've seen it all now. They're talking about using high school helmets. What I remember, though, is how cool and calm Alan Wright and his equipment staff was throughout that whole ordeal. They could have panicked. Everybody could have freaked out. It wasn't their fault. But they had to also take the bullet of taking all that responsibility. Instead, they worked it out. Everybody got the pads on, and we came and saw and we conquered.
Yeah, I think.
And what's crazy, before you said something, BJ, it's crazy what you say about the additive team. It's funny because the players in the locker room, we made a lot of jokes. Everybody was practically calm, and nobody wasn't mad. And we was making jokes with Allen, man, and and Jay was like, "Hey, man, we need that shoulder pads, man. I can't." We was like acting like we was getting mad. It was so funny, man. It was so much jokes going on. Like the ref was like, "Well, we know you don't got it. We try to get him. Like, just be patient." We're like, "Nah, I ain't being patient, man. Forget it." Like, oh man, it was hilarious, man. Oh man, that was some good time right there.
And I know the whole story hadn't been told. We can't get into all the details, but we can say that a regular employee, not a Chiefs employee, a regular employee that helped out called in sick. Union rules only allowed certain people to take care of certain things. We see the touchdown right there to Julian Edelman on the trick play, which was this game. Whenever they got a chunk play, it seemed that they had to do something gadgety. But the union rules, and then the high school football game the night before, Mitch, would have been where they would have caught this issue before. They couldn't get into the locker room and unpack everything like they normally do on the Saturday before a game because there was high school state football championships going on. So they couldn't get into the truck until the next day. And that's when they realized that the stuff wasn't in there. It was actually in the Newark airport, I believe, and had to be police escorted down. But I think it was funny because by the time the media caught it, it was like 3 hours after they had already kind of figured it out. So they were kind of catching up. When the media found out, everybody kind of panicked. And by that point, they already kind of had things under control. But yeah, I remember having those conversations, Mitch, and seeing you guys, Mecole, kind of going out to the field. And see the videos of the guys running in with all their equipment coming in from the buses is pretty good.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I was thinking Mecole's going to have to bring in his helmet from Georgia, right? Or we're going to bring in his high school helmet or something crazy. But those guys stayed poised in that equipment room. That's what was impressive. And Coach Reed stayed poised. Like, he didn't flip out. He's like, we'll get this figured out. And it ended up being, leading the day.
We got the first question, Mecole, from the chat room. KCC asked, what do you think your stats would be next season?
That just all depends on the opportunities and targets that I get. I think I had 41 targets this past year, 500 plus yards. I think if I can get around the 60 mark, 65, 70, I can go for 1,000 yards, 10 touchdowns, 8 to 10 touchdowns.
So we got to flirt with that Denver Broncos record, Mitch.
Exactly, but it leads to my point though, Mecole. Because year 1 to year 2 is such a big jump and a big deal. I put it out on Twitter today. Tyreek had 22 more targets his second year and 600 more yards. What about year 1 to year 2 and what you know and how you can attack it? And, hey, give me some more targets and production.
Yeah, it just comes, like I said, from the beginning. It comes from practice and training camp and, showing that I'm still that player I was the previous year, that I've grown, I've got better, my route running got better. So it's just showing the coaches and, Pat and everybody around me that I've got better as a receiver and they can count on me, in certain situations and stuff like that. So I think it's more that me, just developing and showing them that I'm a better player. So that way more targets will come and be on the field more, the more trust. So as long as I keep doing that, I think I see an increase in targets for sure.
And right there, just a point in this game, that was where Mahomes, I think it was on early in this game, had injured his hand a little bit, something he talked about afterwards, that seemed to affect his ability to throw the ball, particularly down the field. Seemed to be an issue early in this game where you see a couple of times where it just looks a little off. Mecole, what I want to ask you is about when it clicked for you. And I know that to be at the level that you guys are, you have to be confident. You have to be confident in your abilities. But going back to OTAs and just kind of seeing Mahomes, we've all joked about it now, about telling you to keep running. And you never see the quarterback necessarily throw the ball that far. Just when was the moment that you feel like you arrived? Whether it was during a meeting or during a practice, or not necessarily have to be a play during a game, but what was kind of that moment where you were like, I belong here, like this is where I'm supposed to be and I can contribute right away?
I'll probably say, kind of think. I don't think a specific game. I think it was more practice. Like after week 6, week 7. What week did we play Denver? We played Denver. I think was it early in the year? Did we play Denver?
Week 7.
Week 7.
Yeah.
Okay, week 7, and it was like after that game, I think I scored. I had the punt return, and then the next practice, I started get my my energy, like my second win and everything like that. I just feel the difference. How I was. I had the playbook down a lot more. Like I knew more positions. I knew X. I knew Z. So I just started knowing more things, and I just like, you know what? I think I could play in this offense. I could do different positions, and I think after that we got to start getting more involved in the offense.
The other thing about going in this game and watching these guys in this game, they had won 21 straight home games. They were 76-9 at home, and only 3 of those losses were to AFC teams. What was your mindset and the team's mindset going into a place where they never lose?
I think it was more so like because I wasn't there the past year when they lost in the championship, so I think those guys was actually looking forward to this game, like going to New England, and the only thing we were even thinking about this streak or whatever, we was just more thinking like let's go ahead and get a win, let's establish our dominance and and show everybody that we actually we got a bigger goal in mind. I don't think we was really worried about this streak or what they had going on. It was probably in the back of our heads, but we were more so like ready to play and just trying to show the league that we're gonna be a force to be reckoned with for sure. So when we got out there, man, it was let's get this win.
The veterans have told you that it's not normal to step in as a rookie, become an All-Pro, Pro Bowler, and win a Super Bowl. It's not necessarily normal.
All right, it's definitely not, man. I'm definitely going to enjoy it, man, because you never know if you get the opportunity again. So I'm gonna make sure I take advantage of the accolades that I've gotten. So
we've got another question from the chat room. I'm not going to attempt to pronounce the name, but the question is, what is your most memorable play from this past year? What's the one that stands out to you?
Oh, that's good. I had a lot of memorable plays. Let me see. It's probably the kickoff return, man. I think getting that first one out the way. Cause I've been really. Cause I think myself, I was doing so much like I wasn't really focused. I ain't say focused, but I really wasn't doing what I was supposed to. I wasn't producing like I supposed to on kickoff return throughout the year. And then when I actually broke one, man, and felt that energy and felt that that excitement from returning that kickoff, I think that's probably one of my most memorable plays. And so definitely that kickoff return for sure.
I mean, Tyreek was messing with you before that. Did you go back to Tyreek and go, now what are you going to say? Like, I got it.
Hey, that's crazy because we always joke with each other all the time. It's like always joking. It's always like something laughter going on because it's kind of like me and Tyreek came in the same way he came in, like return, especially receiver. Then he rebelled to the receiver type thing, and it's like he always like I guess he kind of was like, yeah, you do it like I was doing. So he'll call me like a return specialist all the time, and like like, man, I returned so many my rookie year, dog. Like, what you doing? It just be all fun and games, man. But he one of the best to do it in the return game. So just watching him, having him on the team, and be able to ask him questions is a great benefit for me.
See Tano Passanio getting in there and blocking the kick, and as we kind of talk over this game, the one thing that stood out early, and it kind of was a theme throughout, Mitch, was the defensive line getting pressure. This was a game that we got to see how old Tom Brady was because of how much he was having to try to run around that pocket because they were getting him off his spot so much. It was the story of this game, in my opinion, was just that he could never get comfortable back there. I think we had 23 pressures on like 40 dropbacks for him, and he never got comfortable. But we've got another question. This one's from the chat room as well. Mecole, do you have any ideas for a new game day arrival outfit? That became your thing. That's part of your brand. I know that we went back and forth on Twitter about the Michael Jordan outfit that you saw in The Last Dance. I'm challenging you to find that one because it's a pretty legendary outfit. If you could find that, if you could rock that one, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, definitely. What's crazy, I've been actually doing the uniform or the fits, the outfits. I just counted out how many home games that we got. I do them on every home game, So I've been counting the home games, and seeing, what I can put together, and if I can get 8 outfits together I can wear every weekend, especially when it get colder, some days it can be colder, maybe have a costume here and there, just something different. But I'm gonna definitely continue the outfit. I definitely got some cool ideas, man, especially for the first game. I got some cool ideas. It's gonna be nice.
But who's your consultant? Because there's times, man, you go retro, you go old school, you keep everybody guessing. Who's your consultant on this?
I got one of my homegirls. She's like my stylist. Her name's Sarah. She went to UJ with me, and we just be going. We get together and start brainstorming. And she like an old soul, so she be coming up ideas like like the Fresh Prince. She was like, hey, Will Smith. I'm like, oh, Fresh Prince. She's like, oh, I'm on it. And she got the idea together. I'm like, all right, bet. So we come together like that, man. And I came up with the LL thing. I'm like, oh, LL, let's go, and she got the outfit together, and we do it like that. I just seen me score too.
Yeah, I was gonna say, can you please walk us through this play?
Yeah, man. What's crazy? Tyreek supposed to be there on this play too, actually. So I think Tyreek just had ran around. He was tired, and I was like, I think it was second. Was it second and long or third and long? It was one of them.
The second at 25.
Yeah, they just converted a third and 19, and they got the second and 25.
Right, so definitely it was second, and what's crazy, I think Pat called this on his own. He didn't even I don't think he heard Coach EB in the headset, so he was just like, "Who my zebra right here?" or "Who my Z?" I like me. He's like, "All right, bet, let's go angle." I'm like, "All right," and then shoot. Went through it. The DB was, on my trail. He was telling me, and then when I seen the ball come, I seen him overplay it, and I just had to beat his head into the end zone. But yeah, that was all Pat right there, man. He definitely called that up right there.
Hey, Mecole, I loved it when you turn on the Jets. Obviously, they're stuck in mud. It's a good secondary, but it's like they're wearing army boots. The second thing, this looks like Wasp before Wasp. This kind of has a Wasp feel to it.
Right, yeah, it's definitely it's really the same concept, really, it's different, concepts and routes on the outside, but it definitely got the Wasp feel to it for sure.
You say, Mecole, when you're thinking back to this game, I know that the individual plays might stand out, but besides the equipment fiasco beforehand, what do you remember about the first time that you went to Foxborough? I mean, growing up watching football, like this was where the AFC ran through for the last couple of decades. Like, what do you remember feeling the first time you ran out on this field and you saw Tom Brady run out of that tunnel?
Yeah, it was crazy. I like that experience right there. Coming to that stadium and the history that's been involved with it. And I remember walking out and I was just seeing like all the Super Bowls, like the championship, the AFC championships, and like all of them in a row, like from 2001 to 2018. I'm like, that's crazy how many they did. And they just think like how long Tom Brady been there. So I was like, that's crazy. And then he come out the tunnel, man, and he like do his little thing. He do it before every game. I'm like, yeah, that's pretty nice right there, man. Like, that's crazy being in this history. And but after I seen that, it was time to go win. So.
Wow.
Okay, no, let's go right there.
That's the Wildcat, Kelsey.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I thought it was nice. Yeah, that was nice right here. We working this play for so long. Yeah, we worked that play for a minute, man. Kelsey did his thing on that one.
And you got guys, when I was going back and looking at this, though, this thing is close to being a blowout. I mean, I know it ended up being close, and they had that the goofy block punt in the second half. But when this point of the game, you're thinking, man, you could blow these guys out because right now you're controlling this game.
Oh yeah, definitely. When you on a roll like that, man, and you get that momentum, you just want to take advantage of it because the game is all about momentum. Everybody had their momentum swings, and you just want to take advantage of yours the best way you can and not mess it up, So whenever that we had that momentum, we really took advantage of it and did what we had to do. So
it kind of picks up. Mitch, you and I have talked about these stats a lot. It kind of follows the game plan that we had seen from Andy Reid against Bill Belichick over the years. As good as Bill Belichick has been, I think since 2000, he's had 6 games that he's coached where his defenses have allowed 40 or more points. 3 of those have been to Andy Reid since he's been with the Chiefs in the last, 7 years. So, putting up points against this defense isn't completely out of the norm, but the way that we saw this game, especially as we get into the second half with the penalties and just kind of the officiating, there was just some weird things that kind of went on, but it seemed like at least early we were in control of the game. A lot of it had to do with the pressure the defense was getting on Brady.
And think, guys, where the New England defense was ranked in this game. You got to go back to this time, and they were considered to be, many thought, the best defense in the league. They're 10-2, tied with Baltimore and we're sitting at 8-4 in that race for that bye. But to kind of mess with these guys on defense was a big deal at this point because nobody in the league had done that to them up to this point.
Yeah, Mecole. Alyssa Harger in the chat room wants to know what game are you most looking forward to?
I think it's kind of hard to say which game you most looking forward to. I think the Ravens game going to Baltimore is gonna be nice. Going to see Tom Brady in Tampa Bay, that's gonna be nice. I think the Texans game, the first game of the season, is gonna be pretty nice too. They're gonna be cool. So yeah, I think we got a nice schedule, man. Oh, the Saints game. I think we play the Saints too, right?
Yep.
We play the Saints. Yeah, the Saints game. I think it's gonna be live in the dome. I think it's gonna be crazy. Yeah, I think that's probably what the Saints game probably. I ain't never seen Drew Brees play in person, so it's definitely gonna be nice to see for sure.
Mecole, I remember sitting in those rookie meetings with you last year. Now you're going, hey, I've done this. What did you learn the most? They're going, I know this now going into year 2 that, man, you've got to have this going into the season. What did you learn most?
Just how to play, how to practice, how to approach the game. I've been around guys like Pat and Kelsey and Tyreek and how they Sammy, how they approach it, D-Rob, how they approach the game and the way they practice and the way they come. I had to learn that, because our offense is different. Like, no routes are dead in our offense. It's no just this route, because anybody can get the ball. And once I learned how Coach Reed wanted his players to practice, or how he wanted his players to play, or how he wanted to, run this, run that route, I think that's when, I think I could take that to the next strategy and already knowing what he's looking for, so I can hit the ground running instead of trying to learn it and then knowing about it,
Back shoulder throw was there. The Chiefs. Illegal formation. Offense. The tackle was left on.
A question from Tommy Sparks, Mecole, is how much faster do you find the NFL compared to college?
Oh man, if we go on a scale of 1 to 10, say if high school is a 5 and college is like a 7, the NFL is like a 9.5. It's like a big difference, because everybody fast. Linemen, linebackers, the DB, everybody so much faster. So that really shows how fast you really is if you separate from guys in the league.
In this game, we're going back to and looking at it, Mecole, these guys try to get physical with you at the line of scrimmage. They play a lot of press. A lot of teams did too. What have you learned about playing against press where you're not getting necessarily a free release off the line?
You just gotta go. You can't play too much at the line. You gotta go and get running, because you got routes coming behind you. You got routes that you might have a clear out route. You got to take the safety away. Like, you just can't do too much. You got to go, and with me, I'm fast, so I can use my speed to my advantage, and play off his leverage and just get going. So this is not enough there, but it's come from watching film and how aggressive the guy is, he lets you run and things like that.
Mecole, I know it's hard because of the quarantine and all that, but just mentally, and I guess to some extent physically with the workouts that you're doing, just how much more prepared and ready for this second NFL season do you feel like you'll be able to hit the ground running compared to a year ago, where you got done telling us earlier that it was maybe week 6, week 7 before you had X and Z both down and you felt comfortable? Just how much more can fans expect from you and to hit the ground running because you've got that year under your belt?
Yeah, I'm ready, man. I'm ready. I know the playbook now. I'm familiar with the playbook, so it's not gonna be nothing new material to me. Like, I know all 3 positions: Z, zebra, X. I can get in the backfield for certain plays. I know it now. I think I feel more comfortable. I can play, be myself. I can play to my abilities, and so yeah, I'm just keeping the playbook fresh, trying to look over the playbook and work on my catching and route running. So when I do get that route running, I know my name could be called and I'll be ready to produce at any time.
And then what did you learn about taking care of your body, man? 19 games over. This is a long journey when you get all the way to the show. What'd you learn about that?
Just, I think, you gotta know what helps your body, what your body reacts to best. Some guys don't. Some guys they gotta stretch and or soft tissue or hot tub, cold tub, do a cryo, do it. I think like me, I just figured out I had to find out like what best suits my body. And once I figured that out, I know how to attack certain areas of my body and what I need to work on. And so once I learned that, I think my body became better, and I learned it throughout the season too, like even with the trainers and like what different stuff worked better for me. So once you learn that about your body, and which I did, and I think it helps you, throughout the season because you know what to do to help you stay like healthy.
As this first half is winding down, Mecole, we just got a few minutes left with you. Just what can you tell fans that they want to see you repeat, but maybe in the back of their minds they just have the question of complacency. What drives you to have the same kind of hunger that you did last year coming in as a rookie, to maintain that same fire based on all the success that you had both individually and as a team as a rookie?
I think it's the fear of being average. I think everybody on our team don't want to be average. I think everybody want to be good. I think everybody want to be great. So as like me personally, I don't want to be. I want to win another one. We're not happy with one ring. Like everybody like, oh, we got one. It's good. It's cool. Like I don't think nobody on our team is happy with just one ring. I think everybody like, we like this pressure. We like this target on our back. Let's do something different. Let's be great. Let's work. So I think it's just the fear of being average or not as good as we can be. So I think being complacent, I don't think it's gonna be a problem. I think everybody in our room, in the locker room, knows what's at stake and knows that everybody will give it their best shot. And I think everybody know what it takes to work. And with our coaching staff, they're gonna make sure that we work. I think we're gonna be just fine.
It's been 16 years since a team has gone back to back. It has been since the 04-05 Patriots that for more than 373 straight days that a group of players were able to say that we are on top of the mountain and we can stay there. And if you guys are able to do it this year, again, you'll be just the second team to do that in the past, 17 years at that point. Mecole Hardman, as we go to halftime with the Chiefs taking a 27 lead. We appreciate you for joining us, man. Enjoy LA, safe travels, and hopefully we get back and see you soon, man.
Yes, sir. Thank y'all. Thank y'all for having me.
Can't wait to see you, Jet.
Yes, sir.
All right, that is All-Pro, Pro Bowl, second-year player now, Mecole Hardman, as we start the second half with the Chiefs taking a 20-7 lead. And we welcome on Mr. Matt McMullen. We call him Matt McNuggets for all his statistical McNuggets that he is going to provide all of us. And I've got the chat room. I'm going to answer the question because the producers seem to think it funny enough to put on here. My daughter, who came down here a minute ago, just wanted her sucker. That's all she wanted. She didn't know where I hid it, and I didn't tell her. She's got to wait.
It's kind of a tough act for me to follow, isn't it? Following Mecole Hardman, who in a lot of ways was one of the heroes of this game. You guys watched his amazing touchdown catch. But, BJ, you mentioned the Nuggets. I watched the first half of this. I couldn't help myself. I have to start with a Nugget.
Just list them all.
Well, this is one of my favorite ones from the whole season. So Mecole Hardman scored that touchdown, right? And the Chiefs took the lead. The Chiefs led in this game for 43 minutes, okay? Before this game, the Patriots, since the beginning of the 2018 season, had trailed for a total of 8 minutes at home ever. Total, combined.
That is a nugget.
And all of a sudden, the Chiefs lead for this entire game.
I love Matt's stats. Just keep that Matt stat coming. But you got to overcome McKenna Kissel here more than Mecole Hardman. So
we got McKenna Kissel dropping in, Matt's McNuggets, and Mitchie drives that have all been born from Watch Party Wednesdays.
This is a Mitchie drive, a 6-minute, 14-second drive with a 20-7 lead, and you get points at the end of the drive. This is my point when I was making with Mecole. This game's closer to a blowout than anything else, and the Chiefs are in total control here. This is an awesome Mitchie drive.
Yeah, Mitch, I totally agree. When you watch this game, this is where a box score kind of lies because the Patriots had some fluky trick plays, the flea flicker, they had the blocked punt, they had stuff happen in the fumble later in the game that they recovered. Things that happened for them that let them score points, but the Chiefs were the better team in this game, just to a man.
I think it was just more talent because we've talked, Mitch, how many times over the years have you and I talked about at the end of a football game, You don't have to look at the score. You can look at third down efficiency, turnovers, and penalties. And those will tell you the story of the game. Well, the Chiefs lost the turnover battle. They had 2, and the Patriots had 1 in this game. They had 136 yards in penalties. And the fact that they went 5 of 16 on third down isn't very good, but it was better than the fact that the Patriots went 2 of 12 on third down in this game, which ended up being the difference. And you see one of those right there. That was the story of this game, was the pressure. The Chiefs had 23 pressures on 40 dropbacks for Tom Brady, who really didn't have much of a chance in this game. At 41, 42 years old, he doesn't move as well as he used to. He doesn't have the talent on the outside that he's had in the past, and they just couldn't overcome it. I mean, the advanced analytics.
Going into this game, guys, I remember we did a Defending the Kingdom podcast, and the focus was don't play the reputation. Play the team in front of you. Because, to your point, BJ, the Chiefs were the most talented team here, and at this point, I mean, this game felt more like a 37-7 than a 23-16 game.
Yeah, and you look at Brady's numbers. He was 3 of 9 on passes beyond 10 yards down the field, which is crazy to think about, even though that Tom Brady, all the numbers that he's put up, and everybody thinks back to 2007, that he really is, it's not a derogatory term. He's a check down. Like, he didn't throw the ball down the field a whole lot, even when he was at his best. But in this game, just 3 of 9 beyond 10 yards, but 16 of 23 even shorter than 10 yards. Some of that had to do with the protection and just the skill on the outside, but a lot of it just had to do with that's how they felt like their only chance for success was to get rid of the ball quickly, because the Chiefs' defensive front was just too good.
Well, and BJ, the Patriots, as you mentioned, went 2 of 12 on third down in this game. That's 16.7%. That was their worst third down percentage at home since 2016. It doesn't happen often. This team usually finds ways, and they just couldn't do it in this one. I know, I can't help myself.
Did you look that up right then, or does it just roll off like you just have it?
You know, I want to say they're all up here, but I pull up my my articles post game before this and review it, and I'm like, oh wow, that's interesting. You know,
guys, when watching this tape again, the video here, you're thinking there was just felt this desperation from New England. It's like you see that the challenges, the going for it, and the trick plays. It's like they felt desperate to do something. And I've been in that stadium a lot and played these guys a lot. I've never felt that from these guys until this game.
Mitch, it's a good point, because one of the things that I remember thinking after the Super Bowl win was that we didn't have that like cathartic. We went to Foxborough in January and won a game against them in the playoffs, and the torch was passed theoretically. Like, I just wanted that moment. But it seemed like after this game that this was that moment, and that they weren't good enough to give us that moment. Like, that's kind of how it felt to me. The Titans took that moment by winning that game, and then Ryan Fitzpatrick doing what he did at the end of the season. But to me, it felt like I wanted that moment of Patrick Mahomes beating Tom Brady in the playoffs in Foxborough, just to kind of close that chapter and move on. And what that ended up being was this game right here.
Guys, too, I think that for the longest time, or excuse me, Mitch, I'm sorry. For the longest time, though, beating the... Go ahead. I'm sorry, Mitch.
Just tag me, BJ, with that to that point at the end. I've got a point for you.
Well, I just wanted to say that for the longest time, beating the Patriots felt like the Super Bowl. Whenever you played them, that was your Super Bowl. And for this team, after they beat them here, it didn't feel like it was the Super Bowl. They had bigger aspirations. And obviously, we saw they took care of those later on.
Mitch, tag.
Oh, I was just going to tell you, this is for Matt, too. What does this game have to do with 476 AD?
God, I have no idea.
476 AD.
I'm excited, though.
Put that on the chat room and see what they say. It was the fall of the Roman Empire. I mean, this felt like the end of something. This game felt like the end of something. Now, it got accentuated with Fitzmagic doing what he did in Week 17 to help the Chiefs' cause. But leaving the stadium and what's going on, as we review it here again, this felt like something bigger than a single game. It felt like an end of an era that could have ended in the AFC Championship game of 18.
How many receivers turned this into a first down? Like,
yeah,
he's so fast.
What's crazy about that is he gets so much credit for his straight line speed, but his ability to get around the corner there, it's unbelievable.
And that guy too. And we got a couple questions and statements from the chat room. And again, if you've got any questions, not just from Mecole, keep the questions, keep the conversation going. I want to know what the chat room knows about the fall of the Roman Empire per Mitch, just as a social experiment, just curious on who we've got in there. But Matt O says this game was a big development of the defense. I agree, especially when you think about the fact that the Patriots had a chance. We'll see it at the end of the game. They drove down, and it went down to the last play of the game. And this one right here, just a little side story. They blew the whistle dead, so that the continuation of the play didn't happen. So we could say we got one here. But I remember being in this stadium, Mitch, and I'm trying to choose my words very carefully. The Patriots fans were very upset about the officiating. I have zero feeling bad for them at all about bad calls in any game, playoffs, regular season, whatever. It evens itself out, I guess, Matt, as I'm trying to bite my tongue here right now.
Oh, well, there were 10 penalties against the Chiefs in this game. So, Really? Here's what I remember about this game. We have to walk through the crowd from the radio booth, and I'm running down to get down to do Chiefs Rewind, and I'm sprinting down there, and I've got kind of the radio guys around me. But I'm walking through the crowd of Patriot fans who also sense it's the fall of the Roman Empire, and all they're doing is yelling at me about the officiating calls in that play. And I'm like, did you guys watch this game? I mean, I tried not to get in a fight because I was in a hurry, but get real, people.
All right, Mitch. Before we get to the comment that made me laugh out loud, Matt O, yes, big game for the defense. Austin Sayre, BJ, Mitch, favorite games on the schedule this year. We'll get to that in a second. But Mitch, Trevor Whitlow says, does that make Patrick Mahomes King Alaric?
Yes. Good job. Way to go.
That's
yes.
Trevor Whitlow.
I don't know if he has I think he has a Germanic background, so if it is, I think that's right. I mean, why not? Mahomes has done everything else. I think he did take down Rome.
Matt, do you have any idea what that reference is?
No, I'm
good.
confused.
Good.
I was at the Barbarian.
I thought I was the one.
I don't know.
I got nothing to add to this conversation. Neither do the producers, for that matter. But good job, Trevor. See what else we got in here. But all right, Mitch, favorite game. Matt, you too. Favorite game on the schedule this year. For me, I'll go first just because mine's easy. It's the Houston game. It's the opening. It's the banner that we've been waiting, 50 years. All those checkpoints, like the first time you win the AFC title, first time you go to the Super Bowl, the first time you win a Super Bowl. You just appreciate every checkpoint along this. And the next big checkpoint, or one of the next big checkpoints, is seeing that banner go up at Arrowhead Stadium, and that's going to happen as the 2020 NFL season kicks off against the Texans, which, from the Texans' point of view, that can't be an easy situation. Last time they stepped foot on a football field, they blew a 24-point lead in the playoffs and then traded away their best player. And then they got to answer those questions on national TV in the first game of the season. But that's the one I'm looking forward to. Mitch, how about you?
Well, I was going to let Matt go next, but honestly, truthfully, while we're on these guys, it's kind of these guys in week 4. What do they have? What are these guys? We've seen Belichick do it in the past without Brady, at least at times when he had to, after Deflategate and playing Matt Castle and going 11-5. But what does New England have when they come to Arrowhead in week 4?
Yeah, Mitch, great minds think alike. I was thinking this game too, just to see what the Patriots are next year, but I'll pick a different one. I'll say the Ravens game, and that seems like an obvious one to me, just because the matchups between these two teams lately have been so good. Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, and one of my favorite stats about Lamar Jackson is he's started a whole bunch of games now in his career. He's only lost 2 regular season games in his career, both to the Chiefs.
He reminded us of that at the 101 banquet.
I stayed away from him. I didn't go up to him and tell him that, but I was thinking it.
But BJ, to your point, the big giant dies hard, and that's what I sense in this game. These guys wouldn't die. I mean, you're thinking the Chiefs are controlling this game, and yet it comes down. You got to get a big play on a 4th down late in the game. I mean, so New England was not going to pass this torch very easily.
Yeah. We got another question from Jordan C. About another game down the road in Miami. Just, were you guys surprised with how many Chiefs fans showed up to Miami, just inside the game and in general? I wasn't surprised because we talked about it on the podcast leading up to that week, Mitch, just walking around. You saw Chiefs fans all over the place, whether it was the team hotel up where you guys were, down in South Beach where the rest of us were kind of away from that team hotel near the convention center, just walking around that. You saw a ton of Chiefs fans, a ton of Patrick Mahomes jerseys. You kind of saw that national brand kind of lend itself, and you saw it.
Yeah, BG, I'll tell you where I sensed it was the pep rally. the day before. I felt like I was in Power and Light. I mean, there were Chiefs fans everywhere, and this was far south. This was down in the south end of the city. I knew then there must be a bazillion Chiefs Kingdom fans here.
Yeah, Mitch, I'm with you. That rally was unbelievable. See the sea of red out there. I'm never surprised at this point, though, when Chiefs fans travel. Wasn't much of a surprise at all, but it's always good to see.
Yeah, it was great. Mitch, we did the In the Trenches podcast from the restaurant there on the water, and we had Darwin Thompson's parents came out, and they were hanging out, and I was trying to get the speakers set up, and you were holding court with everybody. It was fun.
BJ, what was cool about that? People drove to the game. There were like 3 different groups at our show that day that drove to Miami.
Led to a touchdown. It's McCoy. And Adam Butler. Who's the second guy that can double him? For Kansas City.
How about you guys? I enjoy going back and watching. I forget a lot of these things that happen because you get so caught up in what's happened lately that you forget some of these little plays, these little production, these little guys, like these guys who stepped up at different points in the season. Now, granted, this wasn't his best game, but like LaShawn McCoy. You look at the Clyde Edwards-Helaire and you think, well, Damian Williams did it in the Super Bowl, and you forget that all the other bodies and guys who had to step up. I mean, we signed Spencer Ware, who played in this game this week, going into this game, and granted, he knew the offense and everything, but it just goes to show how many different guys you need. And there's Matt, another one of those trick plays you were talking about.
Yeah,
they get a chunk play. It came from something creative.
Well, give them credit. They're trying to do everything they can. And by the feeling in the radio booth that day was like, what else can they do here? But, I mean, it worked for a big play. But other than the penalties and the block punt, I mean, they wouldn't have had a shot here.
Hey, BJ, to your point about guys that kind of stepped up that you kind of forget about once you look at the season through the realm of the Super Bowl, guys like Alex Okafor, who had a huge game in this one. We saw him just bat a pass down. He's a guy I'm really looking forward to having back next season. He had a great year until he got hurt.
Yeah. We had a chance earlier today to catch up with Taco Charlton, who has talked about his relationship with Frank Clark, who we had a chance to talk with earlier. They spoke with the media. Taco Charlton, I mean, he's talented, he's motivated, he's coming into a great situation, and he's in a contract year. If he's looking for that big payday that players are at this point in their careers, I mean, he knows that there's not a better situation for him to step up and be locked in over the next year. And the Chiefs are going to get the best version of whatever player he could be. They're going to get that best version. Brendan Daly is going to get it out of him. I was joking with Frank earlier about how Brendan Daly's handling this quarantine. He's a guy who wants to get his hands on people and get out there and work and yell and scream.
Does he still have the beard? I haven't seen him lately. He's good.
I know
he does.
We got to get that beard off or something. I mean, we won't even. I mean, he's a crazy man. But he loved this game too because he spent 18 with New England. Yeah, he won a world title. But him going back to Foxborough, that's a kind of an understated story. He would love going back to this game.
Good point.
Play of the game, guys.
This is.
Here we go.
Boom.
Oh.
I can feel my heart pounding.
Our producers, I don't know. I don't want to name anybody because I don't know exactly who got the shot. But there are so many beautiful, shots of this play from Bashaud Breeland from every angle imaginable. The 65 TPT producers and the films guys, this is one of those plays. You're going to see this play from different angles we're seeing right now for years to come because of how many they got. Just perfect.
And the great shots and the great photos, BJ, become memes. This one became a meme, as you know, and became famous at the Big Love. I mean, this was pretty cool the way people use this one. But it was also studying. When you talked to Breeland after the game, he knew Edelman lines up inside and trips, it's going to be a corner. And so that was him doing his study during the week that Mecole was talking about.
Back-to-back losses for the Patriots.
Yeah, this was, again, breaking the 21-game winning streak that the Patriots had at home in the regular and postseason, which is the third longest home winning streak in NFL history. And that's what the Chiefs were up against in this one again. The Patriots came in 10-2, finished 10-3. And this is also the day the Chiefs actually clinched the AFC West because the Tennessee Titans knocked off the Raiders, who, if you've been following the Watch Party Wednesdays, it was just a couple weeks before this. We were talking about the game down in Mexico, that they were right there. And then you start to separate yourself at this point in the season. It's exactly what the Chiefs did to build that character, that identity that helped lead this group to a Super Bowl.
Yeah, and BJ Wood also did.
Well, you just felt it in the locker room after the game. You're like, oh, yeah, we wrapped up the division for the 4th straight time. That was like a bonus in this game.
Yeah. Well, and also not just a 4th straight division title, but also a 7th straight winning season was locked up with this game. Every year Andy Reid's been in Kansas City, the Chiefs have had a winning season. We can never take that for granted.
Last couple of points from the chat room before we get final thoughts from you guys. Stu MC said, greetings from Scotland. We're so glad that you beat the Patriots. Well done, Patty Mahomes and all the lads. So we have gone worldwide here on Watch Party Wednesday. And the other one, Jenny Tellez, saying, are you all looking forward to the Death Star after our bye week? I'm excited to see that stadium. I'm excited to get it off to the same foot that we treated O.co to finish that one off. Mitch, as we finish up this Watch Party Wednesday with this win over the Patriots, moving to 9-4, what are your final thoughts?
Well, are we going to see that stadium before then? Are we going to play the Chargers in week 2 there or whatever that is? I don't know. That seems to be a possibility. We're ever going to play that game. 2, we learned in this game, or we learned tonight actually, that Patrick Mahomes is from the Germanic group that took over in Rome in 476 AD. And Mahomes is also a Scot. So he's got, Mahomes is everything.
Never know what you're going to learn on Watch Party Wednesdays. Matt, what final words do you have for us?
I'll build off some thoughts on our Germanic quarterback, Patrick Mahomes. I think when you think about great players, you think about humps they have to get over. So for Peyton Manning, it was always winning the big one. And for certain players, they can't beat a certain team or a certain player. The Patriots against quarterbacks who are under the age of 25 in the regular season at Gillette were 29-0 in the Brady and Belichick era. They were 29-1 after Mahomes left this game.
Matt, what other McNuggets do you have that you didn't get a chance to get to?
I got a whole list right here.
I know you do.
Another thing
you probably got to 10% of what you have written down. I know you.
I mean, how long do you have here? Another interesting thing, I think, we talked about the 21-game winning streak for the Patriots at Gillette. 2 of the Patriots' last 3 losses at Gillette were to the Chiefs.
Yep.
Our producer wants them all, Matt. Glenn Connolly,
our
fearless leader, he wants them all.
Unfortunately, I think I'm about out. This is some good ones, though, I thought.
Those are good. Those are good. I haven't heard those. I thought we were going to regurgitate ones that we've heard before. You found some new ones.
That's what I'm here for.
You found some new ones. All right. Anna Topkin, our other fearless leader and producer, says that we're done. So we appreciate everybody for tuning into this one. We will be back to break down the game against the Denver Broncos, the snow game, where Patrick Mahomes says, I'm a snow game guy now. So that was a memorable one, and one that obviously is going to have a lot of eyes on it moving forward, just of Drew Lock and the offseason the Broncos have had, and what that rivalry could end up looking like if Drew Lock continues to develop like a lot of people think he will. And Matt, Mizzou guy, got a chance to watch him, see him develop.
I like Drew Lock, but